Welcome to a nutty adventure exploring personal growth and wellness, breaking down the stigma around mental health along the way. Let's dive in because now it's time to show me your nuts.
What day is it? It's Thursday. That means it's time to show me your nuts. Who's there? Good morning. I am so hyped up. I just had the most amazing coffee with a bunch of friends online, and now it's time to show me your nuts. So, welcome today. So, this is week 5. It's week 5 of the year. How in the world is it the 5th week of the year already? I don't. January was 75 years long. I swear. January was 75 years long. Is February going to be that way too? Good morning, Miss Sang D's in the house. Now it's time for a party. Somebody get the sparkles, the disco ball, and the sticky notes. It's time to party. And we need to go we need to go make sure that Sang can buy the castle so that we can have the party at the castle. And if you know, you know. I just lost my stuff here. Great. Okay. So good morning, Miss Sangness. I hope there are other people watching. It looks like there's got 2 people watching through the Breakthrough Show Network page. And Sang says, yes, party at the castle. Yes, party at the castle. And I do believe, yeah, we should. We should for sure. So this week, week 5, it's week 5 out of 6 of the first series of Show Me Your Nuts of the year. We're going to wrap up the series next week. But today, this is kind of an integration week. This is where we want to integrate what we've worked on the first 4 weeks in Show Me Your Nuts, the things that we've talked about. And this is kind of a bridge between January and February also, or between the area. So today we're going to have a super fun segment with squirrel shenanigans. And today you're going to leave the show. If you choose to do so, you shall leave the show with your own personal action plan. So your assignment, should you accept it, will be leaving the show with your personal action plan. After the shenanigans. So we're going to build a bridge. But first, let's start with a pair. Today we're not doing how charged are your nuts. We're going to do a pair of nuts because sometimes nuts comes in pairs. Take that as you will. It's time though to show me how charged are your nuts. Both of them. So today's question of how charged are your nuts? It's a 2-parter. So it's an energy check on clarity. And then the second one's going to be on courage. So on a scale of 1 to 10 acorns, where is your clarity now compared to January 8th, otherwise known as 75 years ago? On a scale of 1 to 10 acorns, where is your clarity of your world now compared to January 8th? So compare it and tell me, tell me in the chat where, is your clarity higher than it was January 8th, or is it lower than it was on January 8th? So higher numbers are higher. And Sang's acorn, of course, is a crystal ball because it's sparkly. Um, and I want to know, like, does that mean, because balls come into pairs sometimes too, saying, um, how charged are your nuts or your balls? And how is your clarity in your crystal ball? Is your crystal ball clear or is it cloudy? So like if it's cloudy, it's closer to 1, and if it's clear, it's closer to 10 compared to the beginning of the year. So I'll wait a little bit, and if you're on replay, still put it in. Oh, Sang's crystal ball is as clear as the blue sky. It's sparkly. She's a 10, and she's a 10.1. I can guarantee you guys, having hugged her in person, that Sang's only a 10.1 on a challenging day. She's actually probably more like a 13 all the way around. She's a 13. And but bring your own sticky notes because she's busy with hers, and it's okay. There's plenty of sticky notes for everybody, but you know, I use digital sticky notes a lot. I do occasionally use paper ones. Sang creates mosaics of joy with her sticky notes. Like they're gorgeous. So clarity, when we find clarity, whether it's through sticky notes, digital sticky notes, coffee with friends, however it is you find clarity, it's a practice. It's a daily, where am I at now compared to where was I before? What's new about where I'm at now versus before? I was just in a really cool exercise yesterday where one of our, well, the famous Jessica from here in Breakthrough Show Network walked us through this amazing exercise that really brought clarity. She's really good at that. So it's a journey. You know, that exercise helped me with my clarity. That exercise probably helped others that were in the room with their clarity. You know, my being in coffee this morning brought clarity to me about my business and about just life. I had a meeting yesterday in the afternoon where I was helping somebody else with something, and I ended up with clarity about my own thing. So clarity is a practice and a journey. It's not a destination. So you could be 10.1 today and you could be 3 tomorrow because like a storm moved in and it got cloudy in the crystal ball. So, and see, 13. That 13 is a great number. Saying we got to talk about the 13 sometime. Because yeah, there's more behind my 13s. Courage. Let's do the second ball. The second how charged. So let's do this again. How charged are your nuts? All right. This one, this charged nut that we're looking at next is about courage. On a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to act on what you now see clearly? So you've got the crystal ball, you can see it. How courageous or how ready are you to take a step in that direction? Because having clarity about something we want to change, something we want to do in our life, you know, and I'll call it change here, but really we're constantly changing. So clarity about something you want to do is also clarity about change. But somehow the word change gets a bad rap. I don't understand because we're constantly, you know, but people freak out on the word change. They're like, no, I don't want to change. Oh my God. And we'll get to that a little bit later in the word resistance and that resistance towards change. But right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to act on what you now see clearly? This is kind of these two nuts, looking at them both, is to help us. It's really so we can see the gap between what we know about ourselves and what we're doing about ourselves or doing in the world. So it's to find out where there's a gap between what we know we want to do or what we see in the crystal ball and how ballsy, if you will, how ballsy we are, how courageous we are, how ready we are to take a step in that direction. And sometimes we can see the thing, but we don't quite have the courage up yet. And sometimes we can see the thing and we're like ready to go. Let's go. Let's do it. And sometimes we can't see the thing and we're ready to go, but we don't know what the thing is. So all of those feelings are for reals. All of the variations of the how balanced and charged are your nuts are for reals. Everything can be um a it's all a journey that way. But the gap between what you see and what you want, how ready you are to do it, that's where the courage lives. And that's what February and kind of our next set of things once we roll in is going to be all about. It's part of February and all of March. That's what it's really about. So here's the next challenge. And I want you guys to crack this nut. Here's the next challenge. The challenge is for those who I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it yet. It's an okay place to be. It's just acknowledging I know what I need to do, but I'm not quite ready. I'm not quite got the courage. It's the space between clarity and action. It's that space where it lives. So I'm going to tell you just kind of about a story somebody told me not long ago on this topic. And we were talking about January being 75 years long. And they said, I got so clear in January on what needs to change. I can see it. I know it. Like Sang said, her crystal ball's so clear. But they said, I can see it. It's clear. It's whatever. And I know what it is, but I'm frozen. I'm frozen. I'm not taking action. I'm stuck. Something's blocking me. What's blocking me? And we talked about how that happens, like for one, like the roller coaster. I talk about the entrepreneurship is like a roller coaster. It's a ride you want to be on, and it's really cool, and it has twists and turns and ups and downs and goes fast and slow and has all these things. But it's scary as F to get in that line because you see how high that first hill is. And it's a lot to go up that first hill every time you go up the first hill. And the fact that it keeps going around in a loop because you go up that hill more than once. You go on that roller coaster. And we were talking about how, being in line for the roller coaster and you're excited and you can see the whole roller coaster. You can go, oh my God, it's going to be so cool when I get to here and I get to do loop-de-loops and I get here and I do I've gone way up and I've done all of my work and I get to give that rush of coming down the hill and before the loop-de-loops and curves and everything. And, I know that it's going to be exciting. I know I'm going to have an adrenaline rush, but I'm scared to death because sometimes your stomach falls out from under you and you don't feel so good. And, it catches you off guard because you're not ready. All the things. And that clarity and action gap between clarity and courage, that gap there is normal. Everybody in line behind you and in front of you and next to you has some kind of similar feels. Their feel might be that they're excited because they've been on the roller coaster before. But they've also, part of them still probably has that trepidation of, whoa, this is going to cause my stomach to fall out from me, or whatever reason it's different. So it's fear shows up frequently after clarity, not before. So we get the clarity and then we go, oh shit, I don't know if I can do this. Or, oh my God, that's big. Or, oh, I've never done that one before. And then the fear shows up. And when the fear shows up, that's when we get frozen. Um, fear's there, and then we're like, oh God, we freeze. So I've got some more peeps in the chat. Danielle Valero's in the house. I so love that you're here. Thank you for coming. Oh, you just made my day, girl. The overthinking that blocks you. Oh my God. It's because you get so many things going. Like, to me, I'm like, oh, this, and then 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 you're like, oh my God, then it's too much. And then it's, can I do this? When you started with the clarity, but then you went down the rabbit hole. Sometimes it works a variety of ways, right? And analogy. Welcome to my world. I'm I sometimes I wonder if I'm like overdue the analogies because I do them so often and all the time. And like sometimes I worry that I overwhelm other people with the analogies or the number of them, because like my mouth talks in pictures. Let's figure that one out. My mouth talks in pictures. So and it's pictures of usually analogies about things. And frequently they're really good analogies. Every once in a while I get one that really sucks. That the roller coaster is one of my favorites. So looking at that clarity action gap again, looking at the clarity versus courage and that gap between the balls, or the nuts rather, excuse me. I keep thinking of, the pair of nuts, the gap between them, that clarity and courage gap is normal. And the fear shows up after the clarity. It doesn't show up before the clarity. It does, but for different reasons. The fear about the clear thing we're looking at shows up afterwards. Fun fact about fear. Fear is our one emotion that lives in the future. Whereas the other emotions we have live in the past, on our timeline of life. Kind of like a wild thing to learn, that fear actually lives in our future. But fear shows up after we're clear about something. Then we get to looking at it and we like overthink and we freak out and we whatever. And the idea of, that story I said, when they said, I can see what it is. I know what it is, but I'm frozen. I'm not taking action. Something's what's blocking me. Well, it's resistance of some sort. And resistance is information, not failure. Resistance is not a negative thing by its nature. It's information to you about something. And resistance in between two people, when there's resistance about something, resistance is information. It's not a negative. It's telling resistance is information about the communication, or about the situation, or about the way everybody views things, because we each have 8.2 billion people on the planet. There's 8.2 billion ways of viewing everything in the world, and not one of them is the same as another one. And it's impossible for them to be exactly the same. So we don't have to be the same. Now, we can describe our similarities to learn from each other, but our similarities in one area may not be that we align in all of our similarities. If we were all the same, that'd be effing boring. It would be way boring if we were all the exact same. So the fact that, we become the same on one thing, or we attach because we're the same on one thing, the other. So Resistance or not being the same is information. It's not failure. It doesn't mean that you're trying to hurt the other person. It doesn't mean they're trying to hurt you. It doesn't mean that that they're bad and you're good, or you're good and they're bad. Did I just say that backwards? Yeah. See, there we go, off the rails. Um so but resistance, let's deep dive just a little bit in resistance, because resistance can give us information about lots of things. Our own resistance about change, like we were talking earlier, a lot of people like hear the word change and they're like, no, I don't want to do it. Even though you see the clarity and you're like, ooh, that's the thing I want, but you don't want to do, you also don't want it at the same time. And you've got resistance to it because you don't want to change. So when is resistance? Here's a query. When is it resistant? When is something resistance? And when is something a boundary? Because sometimes we feel resistance and it's actually a boundary. And sometimes we think it's a boundary and it's actually resistance. I'm gonna let the chat boil on that one for a bit. Because this, I think, is one of the cruxes of that clarity and action gap, that clarity versus courage, and that being stuck because your resistance is, when is it a boundary that you're protecting yourself? And when is it actually resistance, your own resistance to try something that would open yourself up? So if you think about a boundary as something that protects you, and you think about resistance is your own inability to let yourself in the thing to, so that you can grow, which one is it? Because they can feel like each other and they can mask each other. And when they mask each other, things get crazy. They kind of get confusing and they kind of get hard. I was on a call the other day, and it was in a Zoom call. And those of you who know, I live in a world that has circles and seats like this where we do video calls all day. It's not Zoom. It's not the boxes. It's not the Brady Bunch look. It's a totally different place and has lots of different other functionality. And I had gone to a networking event that was in a Zoom room, and because it was somebody else's event, it was in that, and I wanted to be there for them. And it was a great event, but they ended up having struggles with putting people in breakout rooms. And the platform I'm on, it's not a struggle to do those things. So I was like, there's another tool out here you could use that has different ways of doing this that wouldn't be so hard. And the person said, I'm not moving from Zoom. I'm no. I'm not changing. And I was like, whoa, resistance much? Like, they didn't even want to look at the other possibility. They were struggling in the other possibility. They were struggling in the thing they were in. So my view of that, and it's just my view, it's just my internal representation, it's just me. My response to that was, wow, they want to stay stuck in the place they're frustrated instead of even thinking about what else could be there. And to me, that was, it wasn't so much a lesson or a thing about that person's view on Zoom or about whatever, or it was more what that taught me personally about resistance and thinking about my own resistance to things is when you have a strong reaction of, no, not doing it, no. And how that limits you. So a boundary protects you, resistance limits you. Have a friend who happened to have a birthday yesterday, and who's also really good and kind of taught me this same lesson a couple months ago. I don't know if she knows it, but maybe she'll hear this and figure it out. Is that I had a strong resistance reaction to something they said or something they were suggesting. And I had that, no, I'm not changing reaction. And they're like, their response to me is also part of what taught me this lesson. I know that the two are together. And this is partly my way of telling her thank you for that. Is that she says, whoa, that was a hard no. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I don't know if my no was really as hard as that, but boy, it sure came across that way. And boy, and why? Why am I so resistant to the thing? And my questioning my own resistance is part of what helped me soften that and realize that it wasn't a boundary, it was resistance, it was limiting me. And if I listened to the possibility, listening to the possibility doesn't make you have to change to it. It just means you're exploring or experimenting with the possibility and seeing what emerges. And I know there's a couple people in the audience laughing right now at that, the way I just phrased that. And I phrased it that way on purpose. You know me. So I say all of those things to say that the smallest brave action can break you out of that freeze of resistance. So my smallest brave action, when my friends said, when they said, oh, that was a hard no. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. That was a hard no. And why am I saying a hard no when I don't even know what I'm saying no to? That's kind of silly. So my small action was taking a pause, stepping back and going, tell me more about the yes side of this so that I can see whether I still want the hard no or whether I might want the yes. And guess who ended up on the yes? After she found out about what that the yes wasn't near as scary or as or as inappropriate or as whatever as I thought it was. And so I was able to shift. And it's that smallest brave action that breaks the freeze. So it shatters the ice that's limiting your growth. So you've got this, you've got the thing, and a resistance is like ice around something. It keeps you frozen also. And if you can, drip a little bit of hot water on a spot or take a little hammer to it or whatever you need to do, and that smallest brave, scary action, and it, don't get me wrong, it's some scary shit sometimes. That smallest brave action can help you break out of whatever it is. So when we come back, I'm going to go through really quick, just a couple of questions that I want you to everybody go get your sticky notes. I'm going to go through 3 pieces of a practical action plan that you'll also be able to get in the next Show Me Your Nuts newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to the newsletter, why are you not subscribed? So I'll be right back to tell you more about that.
Breakthroughs are about more than you might think. They're about discovering who you are, digging deep, reaching to the core of your soul. They're about healing yourself, understanding your beliefs, creating a ripple effect. And it's not just those initial moments that matter. It's about using them to bring more joy into our own lives and the lives of others. It's about having fun, letting loose, enjoying every moment life has to offer. It's about finding a safe space, It's about creating connection. Join us each and every day for exclusive programming, special events, and a community to call home, where we invite you to explore, change the way you look at and live your life, and go beyond the breakthrough. So we ask you, are you ready? We'll see you online at thebreakthroughshow.com.
That commercial was so 2025. I had the old commercial. I don't have a new commercial. I don't have the new commercial yet in my space. That's my bad. But welcome back to Show Me Your Nuts. Does everybody got their sticky notes ready? We're going to fire through a couple of slides here to show you the thing. I'm actually going to see. I don't know if I can do this where I am on the stage and this is on there or not. I think so, but I'm going to play. We're going to see what happens. And I'm going to fly through some of these things that I did already. So here we go. This was our how charged our pair of charged nuts energy check. So go back through that if you didn't. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? On a scale of 1 to 10, how ready are you to act? And that gap is where courage lives, and that's what the next set's about. And then crack that nut of when the person I talked to about got so clear, but then they froze. And so here's, everybody take screenshots, digital sticky notes. And the difference between resistance and a boundary. Resistance is fear-based avoidance of growth. It feels like, apparently my, I didn't spell check my slides. I made them very quickly late at night the other night when I realized I wanted to do this. And they've got some significant spelling errors. And I'm just going to roll with it because I can. Protecting your ego in consistent patterns, boundaries or value-based protection of energy feels more like alignment, creates peace, and it consists of your values and energy. So your resistance versus a boundary is, what are you protecting? But at the same time, resistance is information, not failure. Do not see resistance as a bad thing. Resistance actually is a very, very good thing. Now let's get into some meat and taters. So I'm going to see if this will let me share a screen and show this. I can't remember. I have not done this in a bit. And it doesn't look like I have that opportunity this way. So right now I'm just going to show you the slide and talk through it. You don't have to see my face to see this stuff, but let's go through a personal action plan. The personal action plan is in 3 C's: capture, commit, and courage. Capture is, what did you learn about yourself this last month? In January, it was 75 years long, so you had a lot of things that you could have learned about yourself in 75 years. What did you learn about yourself when we were working through clarity? If you're just joining us and you didn't watch the last 4 episodes, go back to January 8th and watch the first 4 episodes of Show Me Your Nuts from this year and think about what things you're learning, what patterns are emerging, what is becoming clear for yourself. So, what's becoming clear that wasn't clear before. Then look at everything you capture and what is it you're willing to commit to. Pick just one thing that you are willing to commit to. Don't pick all the things, because then you'll get overwhelmed. Like, that's trying to get on 16 roller coasters all at the same time. And I mean, if you can get on 16 roller coasters at the same time, more power on you. But I think that one's a little bit challenging of actually being on 16 roller coasters at the same time. So capturing your things. I'm behind myself. This is the first time I've done slides in here, you guys. What did you learn about yourself? What patterns did you notice? And what came clear that wasn't? Boy, I did not review these. What became so clear that you're ready to do it? And pick the one thing. Of everything, pick one thing so that you can make the commitments that stick. So you can make a commitment that sticks. I'm just going to create new words. It's show me your nuts. We can do that here. We can create new words and new things. Picking one thing so that you don't feel overwhelmed. Because when you try to get on all 16 roller coasters at the same time, you can get overwhelmed and then you don't finish riding any of the one roller coaster. So pick one of the roller coasters that you're going to finish, that you know you want to commit to yourself to do. You might pick the tiniest one. You might pick the biggest one and go, I want to just get up the hill first. If you pick the biggest one, break it down a little. And then make a commitment contract with yourself. I promise, Stacy, that I will ride the tiny roller coaster all the way through once before I do anything else by the end of February. And I'll know that I rode the tiny roller coaster because everybody will cheer at the end when I get done riding that roller coaster. That's an example of a SMART goal, by the way. Different show. Then what brave action will you take in the next 7 days about that one action? So this is kind of the idea of micro acts, like small, brave acts that you can take, micro courage of, well, I'm going to ride the tiny roller coaster first before I try those big ones. Cause they're huge. That's overwhelming. That's too much. That scares the shit out of me. I don't want that. Or I want the big one, but I'm just going to go up to the top of the first hill. So the small brave act is going just to the top of the first hill in that roller coaster. And the one little brave action in 7 days, that micro courage, can be the difference between being reckless and being courageous. Reckless could be trying to ride the whole big roller coaster all at once in the next 7 days, instead of just riding the tiny one, or instead of just riding the top to the top of the first hill. So this next month, we're going to be talking even more about courage. And today's about bridging that gap between now and next month. Now, next week, we're going to talk about some other stories of finding clarity. And we're also going to talk about courage. We're going to have a special guest, but when we get there, that's what we're going to do next week. But your action plan that you're working on, this action plan that you're creating, capture, commit, and courage. It's not about doing everything. It's about doing just the one thing, just the little one thing that requires courage. So write those 3 words down. Everybody on your sticky notes, get 3 sticky notes. Capture everything that you learned about yourself, what patterns emerged, and what became clear for yourself in January. On sticky note number 2, commit. What are you committing to? And choose the one thing. And choose the one thing that you're going to do in the next 7 days. Because what brave action are you going to take? So the commitment is the commitment to ride it could be ride the tiny one or ride just to the top of the hill. But what one brave action are you going to take? What micro courage are you going to have to do that first thing? What's it going to take to help you get in the roller coaster to ride the tiny one or to do the top of the hill? And while you're thinking about that, I'm going to also ask you to take one tiny micro courage action and like, share, and subscribe us. All right. So you've got your 3 sticky notes. You capture, commit, encourage. Now I really want you to get your pen and paper ready. Because now I'm going to show you, number one, where you'll be able to get the action plan template you can use. You can also subscribe to the Show Me Your Nuts newsletter, which is brand new, by the way. Let me make sure I get my correct slide, because we know now that they have weird letters in them. I'm going to get this one. And to subscribe to our newsletter, text the word subscribe to 866-393-4242. And in that next newsletter, you will get from me as a gift the your personal action plan template. I really want to give people this thing as a thing, and I can't just hand it to you on the show. So text subscribe to 866-393-4242 to get that action plan, that template. And then we're going to play a game. So is it kind of like the show? I can't remember which one it was. Somebody who knows trivia better than me, and I know there's lots of you. Somebody who knows like pop culture better than me. It's not my gig. Shall we play a game? I know that's from like probably 80s or 90s somewhere. So there might be people who know that. I just remember the phrase. I don't remember where I knew it. That's kind of how my brain does or doesn't work. So we are going to, this is squirrel shenanigans now. It is time for squirrel shenanigans. It's time to grab your nuts and go, the action plan game. So today's version of squirrel shenanigans, grab your nuts and go, is going to be, shall we play a game? All right, everybody. Answer in the chat. What is one thing you're grabbing from Clarity Month? What is the one thing you're letting go of? And what is the one brave thing you'll do this week? Ready and go. Oop. And I'm mixing up my slides already. What is the one thing you're grabbing from January? What is the one thing you're letting go of? It could be fear. It could be resistance. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And what is the one brave thing, the one micro courage thing you're going to do this week? And I took it off the screen on purpose because I want you to put it in the chat quickly. And after you get that, I'm going to wait. I'm going to give it just a little bit to get my first person who gets nutty in the chat. Come on, squirrels. Where are you at? Where are you at? Where's the squirrels at? I'm going to say, let's see. One thing I'm grabbing from January is resistance is not bad. One thing I am committing to in the next set is watching myself for resistance. One thing I'm letting go of or attempting to change is the resistance. And one brave thing I'm going to do this week about that is I'm going to put the word resistance on a sticky note and put it on my table so that I remember to watch for my own resistance. So I'm going to use the sticky note. All right. Y'all aren't playing the game with me, but we're going to go on to the next part of the game, round 2. Who's ready for round 2? Round 2 is nut sorting. So are you ready to sort your nuts out? Let's get it sorted. Let's sort it out and focus. What is it that is working? What's working so that you can keep doing it? What's not working so you want to stop doing it? And what's the one micro courage, brave action you want to start doing? So sort your nuts, or if you wrote them on sticky notes, you could sort your sticky notes into the piles of what do I want to keep doing? What do I want to stop doing? And what is it I want to start doing that is micro courageous? Tiny courage, little courage, just little bitty courages. What's the thing that I want to start doing? And I know I got 3 people watching, 1 on Twitch and 2 in the Breakthrough Show. I'd love it if you guys just put a 1, 2, or a 3 in the chat if you've sorted any kind of nuts at all. If you've sorted any of your nuts, please let me know. Because I know people's there. And you got your sticky notes. Because then we're going to do round 3. Round 3 of Squirrel Shenanigans. In 3, 2, 1 is the Squirrel's Pledge. The Squirrel's Pledge goes like this. I, state your name, promise to grab myself by my nuts and go do the thing on the day because why it matters to me. For example, I, Stacy, promise to grab my nuts and go by catching myself in resistance through this next week because I want to explore my growth instead of limiting it with resistance. So I verbalized mine. You can type yours in the chat. Repeat after me. I state your name. And by that, I mean put your name in the thing. I state your name. Promise to grab myself by my nuts and go do XYZ, specific action, on or by a certain date and time because blank, 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 why it matters to me. And if you have taken the Squirrel Wrangler's pledge, if you have taken such pledge, the next thing, the winner of the game, take your right hand and put it on your left shoulder and lift it and put it back down, lift it and put it back down. Yes, you deserve that pat on the back. However, take your left hand and put it on your right shoulder and lift it and put it down and lift it and put it down. And you deserve that pat on the back too. Now I want you to take both arms and squeeze as hard as you can without choking yourself. Because you deserve that hug too. It takes courage, takes clarity, commitment, and courage to make a change. And you just went through all 3 in the Squirrel Shenanigans. You deserve the pat on the back. You deserve the other pat on the back. and you deserve that hug. Yes, you hugged yourself. It wasn't from somebody else, but guess what? Your unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a hug from somebody else and a hug from yourself. All it knows from the chemicals that are released in your body when you get squeezed like that, in a good way, it knows that that feels good. So if you can't get a hug from another human today, hug yourself for God's sake. Right hand, left shoulder, left hand, right shoulder, up, down, pat yourself on the back, and then squeeze and give yourself a hug because you deserve the comfort and the recognition because of the clarity you've gained, the commitment you made to yourself, and the courage to take that next tiny step towards the next thing that you want to do. I tried some new stuff today. I hope it was fun for you guys, even though you got to see me. You know, sometimes you do fun stuff and sometimes you do fun stuff fast and you've got errors on your slides. And there was a time in my life that would have terrified me and it would have taken me down. And it doesn't anymore because it's not the slides. It's the concepts within them. And you each could read through the grammatical and or spelling errors and see through the fog, see the clarity that I was attempting to bring. And it's okay to make mistakes because really it's not a mistake. It's just a part of the journey. It's an experiment. Part of the experiment today was to have the slides give you information on the screen that you could stop and write down and think about. Ask you to subscribe to my new newsletter. Text the word subscribe to 866-393-4242 to get the Squirrel Wranglers Show Me Your Nuts newsletter every week. This coming week, it's going to have a tool attached to it for your personal action plan of your clarity, commitment, and courage to go deeper into that. And I want to celebrate everybody who's watching, both live and in the replay. The courage you had to look at your last month, to get the clarity, and then to commit to yourself. Those are not those are not micro courages. They may seem like it, but those are big, brave action. Those are actually really important. So next week, we're going to have our first live guest because, you know, Aunt Ruth was here last week, but she was in her voicemails and oh, that was fun. That was so fun. So next week, though, we're going to have our first guest, and we're going to talk about what they went through the first part of the year and where they're at. And I want to challenge everybody in the audience to, between now and next Thursday, I want you to do one thing that is a micro courage. Do one thing that scares you. It can scare you a little. It can scare you a lot. Your choice. Try one thing. Experiment with one thing that scares you and see what emerges. Now, of course, don't be reckless. Don't be dangerous. Just be brave. Just be a tiny bit brave. And come back next week ready to tell me about it. Come back next week ready to say, like, here's what I did and here's what happened and oh my God. And the last things I want to say for today is remember that squirrels don't just gather nuts, they go get their nuts. They go out with the intention to get their nuts. Your clarity about your nuts is your map. Your courage are your legs. Now, grab your nuts and go. Go try the thing. And I will see you next week back here for Show Me Your Nuts. Have a great week, guys.
Thank you for joining us on this nutty adventure. Remember, personal growth and wellness are journeys best taken together. Keep exploring, keep growing, and don't forget to show me your nuts next time.